Gathered here in this room are policymakers, private sector leaders and civil society groups across the country, all here to deliberate on critical tax reforms and the implications for national development. Speakers here underscored the importance of promoting a fair tax system that promotes economic stability and inclusivity.
As we gather to discuss and deliberate on the critical issues surrounding tax policy, we are reminded of vital roles that a fair and equitable tax system plays in stabilizing our economy and ensuring that every citizen can contribute and benefit from nation's prosperity.
While the intention of reducing the economic burden on low-income earners is visible, questions remain about the increase in VAT and other concerns raised by many here. Responding to these concerns, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, Taiwo Yedele, who was a guest at the conference, addresses some of the grey areas in the tax bill.
Part of the work of the committee that has not received sufficient attention is the national fiscal policy, wherein we had looked at issues around our taxation principles. We looked at what are those principles that should guide our spending, as well as our borrowing. What should we borrow for? What term should we sign up to? How do we ensure we manage the risk around borrowing? If you look at spending, how do we prioritize what is most important to our people, particularly our most vulnerable population?
Some of the stakeholders and members of the Tax Justice and Governance platform say there is the need to foster understanding and build consensus around the proposed reforms, including conversations around fairness and equity.
We can see that there's a general understanding that within society there are different groups, and that when designing tax policies and when actually collecting taxes, we should consider the marginalized, of which, like I said in my presentation, it tends usually to be women, people with disabilities, people with all kinds of things that place them on the fringes of society.
The tax net has to be expanded. More people need to come into the tax net, especially the rich and the wealthy, the billionaires. Those within the informal space shouldn't be overburdened with taxes. They need to improve their livelihoods. Government also needs to prioritize the usage of those taxes collected so that people have access to education, health, and infrastructure.
While there is the need to consolidate Nigeria's fiscal framework and enhance tax administration, stakeholders here agree that the government must also ensure accountability and transparency in its dealings with citizens. Frank Omalape, Arise News.